Hare Krishna. We continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are on chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute, text 29. Jara marna mokshaya mam ashritya yatanti ye te brahma tad vidu kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. So birth, death, old age, and diseases affect this material body, but not the spiritual body. There is no birth, death, old age, and disease for the spiritual body. So one who attains a spiritual body becomes one of the associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engages in eternal devotional service is really liberated. We have been hearing in Srimad Bhagavatam, we are the section of birth and death, how at the time of death, the body is undergoing so much difficulty, the soul is being pulled out, and then dragged to the soul together with the subtle body is dragged to the Yamlok by the Yamadutas. And then again, we are reading about the birth, how the living entity that's in the body of a fetus is suffering so much. So all this is the creation and destruction of the material body. But what about the living entity? The living entity, the living entity, we are spiritual. And there is no birth and death for us. We have a spiritual body. Each of us has a spiritual body. And that spiritual body is never born. And because it's never born, it never dies. Now, what do you mean never born? Means eternally existing. Shaswat, it's always existing, ever existing. That concept in our mind doesn't register because we are always used to, in our material experience, something has a birth date, a manufacture date, and a death date or an expiry date. So eternal does not register in our material mind, but that's what is our position, the spiritual body that we have. That's the position of that spiritual body. Is never born, and so we can never die. And then, so what is real liberation? Real liberation is when we get our spiritual body, and in that spiritual body, we render loving service to the Supreme Lord, have a loving relationship with God. That is really liberation. That is our true life. That's the reason it's said that real life begins from the point of liberation. Then we are situated in our real position of having this relationship with God and acting in that relationship. In this material world, we have so many different relationships, and we act in that relationship. Could be between parents and children, or siblings, or spouse, or employers, employees, whatever. So many different relationships. So every living entity has a spiritual, eternal, loving relationship with God. And to be situated in that relationship and to act in that relationship is really liberation. This is really liberation. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. It is said that one should understand that he is Brahman, spirit, soul. So we are all thinking we are the body. We are thinking I means I am the body. We have to begin to understand that Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body. I am a spirit soul. This Brahman conception of life is also in devotional service as described in this verse. The pure devotees are transcendently situated on the Brahman platform. and they know everything about transcendental activities. So the pure devotee, he is on the Brahman platform. Pure devotee, he is completely understood. I'm not this body. I am a part and parcel of God. I have a loving relationship with God. And so I'm going to act in that relationship. And then that's what he does. Whatever he does is for pleasing God. And so he's liberated. He's on the Brahman platform. He's on the Brahma Bhuta platform, Brahman platform, platform of the soul, not on the platform of the material body. 4 kinds of impure devotees who engage themselves in the transcendental service of the Lord achieve their respective goals, and by the grace of the Supreme Lord, when they are fully Krishna conscious, they actually enjoy spiritual association with the Supreme Lord. So Krishna said that 4 kinds of pious people come to me. 4 kinds of pious people come to Krishna. 1, those who are seeking wealth, who are in need of wealth. Or 2nd, somebody who is in distress, wants to get free from suffering. 3rd, somebody who's inquisitive. He wants to understand. He wants to understand things. What's the truth? And 4, who is in knowledge of Krishna, who's understanding that, oh, Krishna is God. That's a knowledge of Krishna. So he's coming in knowledge. So then, but they are not yet pure devotees. But when they continue to engage in hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna, worshipping the deity, what happens is all the material desires are washed away and they get fully Krishna conscious. Fully, they revive their love of God. They revive their love for Krishna. And then what? They associate with God. And that association is not material. It's on the spiritual platform. It is spiritual association because God is spiritual. The living entity is spiritual. So of course their relationship is spiritual. Of course the service is spiritual. The association is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. But those who are worshippers of demigods never reach the Supreme Lord in his supreme planet. Even the less intelligent Brahman realized persons cannot reach the supreme planet of Krishna, known as Golok Vrindavan. Only persons who perform activities in Krishna consciousness, Mam Ashritya, are actually entitled to be called Brahman because they are actually endeavoring to reach the Krishna planet. So who can reach Krishna's planet? Who can actually associate with God? Who can actually have a relationship with God? Are the pure devotees. Are the devotees who... So currently the devotees may have some material desire, but if we continue to hear and chant, we continue in this path of devotional service, there will come a time where we will be face to face with God. But if we worship demigods, we are never going to reach God. We are never going to get out of this material world. Why? Because Krishna says, whoever you worship, you're going to go there. Then in the next life, we'll be in the planet of the demigod. And those demigods are also in the material world. So only devotees of Krishna, only the living entities who are acting in Krishna consciousness, they can go to Krishna's planet. Because Krishna is saying, whoever you worship, you will go there. So if I worship Lord Ganesh, I will go to the planet of Lord Ganesh. But if I worship Krishna, then I will go to the planet of Lord Krishna. So it's like purchasing a ticket. What ticket are we purchasing? You know, if we are purchasing a ticket for America, then of course we will reach America. If we are purchasing a ticket for Australia, then we will reach Australia. Such persons have no misgivings about Krishna, and thus they are factually Brahman. So the pure devotee has completely understood, I'm not the body, I'm part and parcel of God. I am engaging in loving service of God. So they already Brahman realized, they already liberated. Those who are engaged in worshipping the form or archa of the Lord, or who are engaged in meditation on the Lord simply for liberation from material bondage, also know by the grace of the Lord the purpose of Brahman, Adibhut, etc., as explained by the Lord in the next chapter. So someone may be engaged in worshipping the deity of Krishna. The deity of Krishna is called Archa Vigraha. Archa Vigraha is the deity form of Krishna. Krishna very, very mercifully takes on a form by which we are able to see him with our material eyes. Otherwise, we cannot see God. He's spiritual. So how do we see him? So he takes a form by which we are able to see him. And that's the deity in the temple. That's the Archa Vigraha. So the devotees who are engaged in worshipping the deity of the Lord in the temple, or who are also meditating on the form of the Lord, not meditating on something zero, or not meditating on a candle or some light, no, but meditating on the form of the Lord. They also, by the mercy of Lord, understand the truth and go back home, back to Godhead. Gradually get purified of everything and can go home, back to Godhead by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, can understand what is the meaning of Brahman, what is the meaning of Adbhut. And all this, Krishna will speak more about it in the 8th chapter. Is that okay? Did anyone have any questions or comments? If no, then we'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening in and joining in. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.